think this is a very serious moment and a very serious day when something nasty has happened. An entire celebration has turned into a big disaster. And I do believe there are plenty of lessons to learn from this, but it's not a time to lesson learning and lesson taking. I do believe it's a time of condoling, and it's a time when you stand up and say that these things must not happen, should not happen, and if they've happened, I mean, it's a big, big disaster. Imagine the plight of the families of these individuals who were actually celebrating at one point of time, and the next point of time, they're comatose and dead, and with many others struggling. So I think we need to learn how to manage passions of people in a big city, and I don't think we've learned that as yet.
In hindsight, you think the Bengaluru police was ill prepared to manage such a large crowd, keeping in mind they had little time to prepare?
Hindsight is the word, and all of us tend to depend so much on hindsight. So if you really look at it from that perspective, I would say that yes, no size of a police force can actually control a crowd, which is, charged up with high passion. And, the point at which the passion happened was yesterday, last night at 11:27, when Bengaluru burst into, a cracker bursting mode, a dancing mode, a frenzy mode. And I think that continued for 2 long hours. That itself is a giveaway to say that the passions of the people are at the highest, ebb. And I think, managing the passions of people at that high ebb is a very difficult task. So possibly it's a question of timing. Again, hindsight, this shouldn't have happened, now. It could have happened 3 days down the road when better preparations could have been made. But then hindsight, and a lot of hindsight.
Right. But also, talking about, there were actions taken actually, because, initially there was an open bus victory parade that had been organized, that had been planned from the airport up until Vidhan Sauda. That had been cancelled because the traffic police cited this explanation that it would have been difficult to control the crowd. It would be difficult to ensure and maintain safety and security of the players and also of the people. And then what we are also getting to know, as per my reporter, that on the ground the tickets had already been given to these individuals who had come in anticipation of entering into the premises and getting a glimpse of the felicitation ceremony, but the gates were not open, and the gates were opened only after the RCB bus carrying the team entered into the premises, and the gates again got shut, and there was chaos and confusion in which people died. People were like trampling over each other. So again, the point that and then you have D.K. Shivakumar, the Deputy Chief Minister, saying that it was, I fully support the police department. There were 5,000 of them that were deployed. The crowd was went berserk and was uncontrollable. But is that a responsible justification to give by a government spokesperson, the Deputy Chief Minister, no less, of the state?
Well, let me put it this way. What can anybody say at this point of time? One can only look back and say that I had 5,000 people out there. And then you can say that there were just too many people. And then you can say that the gates weren't opened on time. You can poke holes into 20 different things. But I think, at the end of the day, this is not the time to poke holes. I think this is the time to say that, the next time round, when push comes to shove, when actually a celebration is meant to be done, don't do it immediately. Give it cooling off time. And if you give it enough cooling time, maybe the 5,000 feet on street from the police department would have been able to manage it better. But not immediately after. Human frenzy cannot be actually tackled. Doesn't matter if you have 10,000 policemen on the street. And therefore a lot of planning.
I disagree on that, because if you are better prepared, if you have a plan of action, on the ground, you know how you're going to segregate the crowds. You understand that there is going to be a huge frenzy. People are cricket crazy in our country. It's a religion that is celebrated in the country with such vigor and such enthusiasm and excitement. A proper plan could have been made, and why could, you know, another 24 hours be given for the felicitation ceremony? Why was the government so hasty in wanting to garner all the appreciation, accolades for the win for the RCB team that was bringing home the trophy?
Well, that's exactly what I'm saying. I mean, could you have waited 72 hours before doing this? Should we have waited? Could this terrible incident have been avoided? Could so many families still have their beloved ones still alive if we had done that? Yeah, of course. That's where the answer lies. So I think we need to be crowd management, passion management, very interesting areas, very difficult areas. You must be prepared, and you must be paranoid about security. You must be paranoid about crowds and crowd management.
Right. You know, there's anger on the streets. You open your
Okay.
social media, people are aghast, people are frustrated, they have angst, and they are like, they're completely holding the government and the security forces, the police department solely responsible for this tragedy that has taken place. In fact, the BJP has demanded that an SIT probe take place. What should be the correct line of action taken by the state government and the cops now?
Well, I think it is necessary for a white paper to be published on this entire episode. Paper can help. Literally every other state, the police department needs to be aware of what's happening. And I think there's plenty of learning to happen. But no amount of learning is going to pacify the lives and the pathos of those people who died and they're within their homes. So I think, that's where I'd like to leave it and say that learn we must, and not repeat again, that we must as well.
Harish Bijoor, thank you very much for joining me, sharing your views.
Thank you.
And we